So today we're going to talk about accelerated law degrees and why you might want to pursue this option compared to a regular law degree. I'm Eloise. I am a consultant here with the Profs. I specialise in law undergraduate admissions. I studied law at Cambridge and I then became a qualified solicitor after that and practiced law for about 5 years. And we're going to talk specifically about routes into law that are not the typical route. So normally you would study your degree for 3 years. Today we're going to talk about the accelerated law degree, which is a 2-year course. So what is an accelerated law degree? Well, essentially you could answer this quite simply by saying it's a law degree that is accelerated into a shorter amount of time. Now, this could be appealing for a number of reasons. Maybe you have other commitments or you just need to condense your study down so that you have time for other things, or you have particular deadlines, or there are other factors in your life that make you feel like you need to shorten the period of study. We're going to talk about pros and cons to this approach, as well as things that you might want to consider before opting for an accelerated law degree. Let's talk first about the application process, which will be pretty similar to as if you were studying any other law degree. Now, you might be able to find some of these courses on UCAS. For mature students or students who are coming in at different times of the application process, it might be more helpful to look up the course itself first and talk to the course provider and see if you're the correct fit. Most people studying an accelerated law degree might have some kind of personal circumstances that mean that a 3-year typical law degree isn't appropriate for them. So if that is you, if you're someone with particular concerns or considerations that you need to take into account, please do reach out to the university course provider directly and speak to the admissions team there. So let's talk about pros and cons. Obviously, pros is that you're studying for less time. So if you're really keen to get working, to get into the profession, to just really go for it, to study for a short amount of time as possible, that might be an appropriate route for you. It is worth considering if you are just trying to condense the amount of study, why that is more preferable than studying for 3 years if it's just about the actual study itself. Because remember that once you get into the legal profession, you will be still working with this kind of material. So if your consideration is that you just don't enjoy the study, it definitely is worth thinking, is law the right field for you? Because you will be using this information throughout your career. So another pro is the financial side. Depending on the course provider, their fees might be slightly less. And obviously you have 1 year less spent in maintenance or not working while you're studying. Now, there are two main aspects to consider here. One is the nature of the information, and the other is the type of course provider here. So the first, in terms of the nature of the information, obviously law degrees are typically 3 years because you do normally need 3 years in order to work with and to understand all of this content in a way that's so foundational for your career as you move forwards. Whether you can do that in 2 years instead of 3 is kind of a personal determination about, your levels of commitment and the amount of work that you're willing to put in. But just be aware that a 2-year degree that takes in 3 years worth of information will probably feel more intensive. There might be less time for breaks over summer or other periods of time where you might typically have been able to revise or revisit some of the information. Instead of that, you might still be moving forwards and forwards and forwards until the end of your degree where you'll be tested on that information. The other thing to consider is the nature of the provider for the accelerated law degrees. Now, you often won't find accelerated law degrees being offered at the central kind of leading universities, so things like Oxford, Cambridge, Russell Group universities. And this is because those universities have a more academic focus to them. So instead of trying to condense all the information down to get you out as quick as possible, they're instead going into the detail, going into the theory, really testing your academic ability. So if that's your kind of learning style, it might be better to do a more traditional degree. However, if you are looking to do a more accelerated version, there are still providers and good universities that will offer this course. It just depends which one is right for you. In terms of employability prospects, it has been said by universities and by students as well that there isn't a huge determination made by employers as to whether you did a 3-year degree or a 2-year degree. Instead, they will just look at your achievement of the degree and obviously what you achieved in that degree. Having said that, it may raise questions as to why your application process looks a little bit different to other people, or there might be maybe questions about the nature of the provider that you studied with. So again, it really just does depend on what kind of jobs that you want in the future, your employability prospects, and really what your priorities are. One reason that you might consider an accelerated law degree is actually to use this degree in other pathways. So for example, if you didn't think that you wanted to be a lawyer, but you did want to use that degree to then switch into something like criminology or into psychology or sociology, it can give you quite a good grounding in the legal profession and legal analysis, which you can then flip into another field. So that could be one consideration. In terms of how difficult these degrees are to get into compared to your traditional law degree, you probably could say that they are a little bit less competitive just because they're less well known, less frequently used, and also the providers that generally provide these accelerated law degrees are a little bit on the less competitive side in terms of the academic ranking of universities. So you could say an application to an academically competitive university like Cambridge or Oxford or the Russell Group universities might be more difficult than applying to an accelerated law degree, although both are still challenging routes. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you did like it, please do leave a like and subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions or comments, please drop them in the comment section below and we will try and get back to you as quickly as possible. If you have a friend who would benefit from this video, please do send it along to them. And if you would like any support or assistance during your application journey, please do get in touch using the information on screen now. We have a whole team of consultants here at the Profs who are extremely experienced in every single aspect of the admissions journey. And as always, best of luck with your applications.
Woo! There we go. Nice.
That one came out good.
Just gonna do a quick